The fact that in physics, all phenomena, all experiences are repeated with exact proportionality is a very strong argument against the origin and a supposed end of the universe. Newton's second law. The rate of change of momentum with respect to time of a moving body is exactly proportional to the force exerted on it. The result of a force acting on a body at rest or in uniform motion is to cause it to accelerate in the following exact proportion. F equals ma. The greater the mass of the object to be accelerated, the greater the force required to accelerate it in exactly the same proportion. There may be an increase or decrease in body speed or change in the direction of body speed, always in exact proportion. When the resultant force applied to the body is different from zero, the body can only be accelerated. This force law relates the change in velocity of the object to the force applied to it, always in exact proportion. The resultant force applied to an object is equal to the object's mass times the acceleration caused to the body by this force. Acceleration always occurs in exactly the same direction as the applied force. Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. There is no action without reaction. The law of action and reaction says that if one object exerts a force on another object, that other object exerts a force of equal magnitude in the opposite direction. Universal gravitation. The gravitational force between two bodies is always exactly directly proportional to the product of their masses and exactly inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centers of gravity. For being able to change the state of motion of a body, it is important to know that the gravitational force is a type of motion originated from the relative motions that are the masses of the bodies. As it is a type of motion, the gravitational force is directly proportional to the quantities of motion that give rise to it. It's directly proportional to the product of the masses. Momentum times momentum. Every mass is nothing but a reserve, a kind of movement, a relative amount of movement reserved, because one movement influences the other, because one movement acts on another, one mass acts on another, and vice versa. The gravitational force is always directly proportional to the product of the masses and not to the sum of the masses, which would be expected if the nature of the masses were static still, which it is not. The fact that the gravitational force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the centers of gravity of the masses reveals how one mass acts on another and vice versa. The movements that are the masses always have volumes that are measured or proportional spatial quantities, but the influences of the masses, their interactions, their collisions, always occur through their contact areas or surfaces. The surface or area of contact of the gravitational force, or as Einstein said, the curvature of space-time that is gravity is a curve, forms a sphere. The calculation of the measurement of the surface or area of the sphere increases or decreases according to the square of its radius, the distance from the center to the edge of the sphere, as well as the calculation of the area of a square. The spatial measurement of a square is also side to side square, side times side. When we double our distance through space to any object, we see that object reduced in apparent size by half. Any object appears to be half its size when we double our distance from it. In the same way, if that object can also measure our apparent size with the same increase in distance, to double our size will also appear to it to be halved from what it was when our distance to it was halved. This is why the gravitational force decreases exactly proportionally to the square of the distance, because the gravitational force is a movement that distributes, acts, or interacts in an exactly proportional way to the geometry of the bodies or the measurements of their surfaces or areas of contact or interaction. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel and give your like if you enjoy it.